Georgia.
Mr. President, this is one of those days that none of us in the Senate look particularly forward to, when we have to come and speak about a dear friend who is leaving the Senate. But I'm excited for Mel and for Kitty in a number of ways, and very appreciative of the great relationship, number one, that we've had from a personal and collegial standpoint, but just very appreciative of the great work that Mel Martinez has provided to our country over the last several years. Our friend Lamar Alexander, who spoke a little bit earlier, often talks and has gotten me talking back home to particularly young people about what it really means to be an American. Mel Martinez has a greater appreciation about what it means to be an American than anybody in this body, because of the fact that he's the only immigrant that is a member of the United States Senate. And I know how hard he worked to become a citizen, and that he has a great appreciation for what it means to be an American. What a great story it is. Mel dodging bullets in Cuba, escaping communism, and ultimately coming to the United States, being separated from his parents, being somewhat lost in a strange land that he knew something about, but just didn't know any people. And as a 16-year-old young man thrust into that situation, most of us would panic to some extent. Mel never did. And through the raising in orphanages and foster homes, ultimately being reunited with his parents, after having his brother Ralph come over here and being reunited with him before he was reunited with his parents. It's such a great personal story and such a touching story, number one. But all of that served to develop a foundation in Mel Martinez that America has been the beneficiary of. And certainly those of us in this body who have come to know Mel and Kitty are the beneficiaries of. And I guess the ironic thing, when you read Mel's book, A Sense of Belonging, which I would commend to everybody that's listening out there today. What a great book. It's a short read, but you'll have a lot of fun and be of great interest to you. What you realize is that when Mel got here, there were several things that allowed him to transition into American society. First of all, he was a bright young man, and he didn't know the English language when he came here, but he committed to learn it. He did learn it. Secondly, he was a very affable person back then, just as he is now. He made friends very easy, and that helped him make that transition. And thirdly, he was a good athlete, maybe even a great athlete. In fact, if he could have hit the curveball, he might be representing the Miami Marlins today instead of the state of Florida. But it's a great way to look at the history of America when you look at the history of Mel Martinez and his transition all the way from rural Cuba to the United States Senate. But I guess the most important thing I could say about him is what's already been alluded to by the Assistant Majority Leader, and that is that Mel came to the Senate for all the right reasons. He came into public service for all the right reasons, and he's leaving for all the right reasons. I know, because of the many, many conversations he and I have had about our families, what a dedicated husband he is, what a dedicated father he is. And now he has seen his two older children, Lauren and Jack, come up and become very successful in their own right. And now he's got Andrew. Andrew is a 15-year-old young man who is growing up in Orlando and is doing the things that all young men do. And unfortunately, his dad is gone during the week and is home during the weekend. And that's the time when young men like to be with their friends. And Mel is missing a lot of that. And that's the reason he's going back home. And that's the reason that all of us can stand up here and say, wow, I wish I had the courage to do that. I had a very similar experience during my days in the House. When I ran for the House in 1994, my son was a senior in high school. He played football on what ultimately became a state championship football team. There was no question from my campaign staff as to where I was going to be on Friday night. I was there to see my son. Mel is missing the experience of seeing Andrew play on Thursday nights because he's up here doing what he was elected to do, and that's serve the people of Florida. He's going to now have the opportunity to experience with Andrew the same sort of things that he did with Lard and Jack. And for that, you know, we can say great things about his service to our country, his service as mayor of Orlando, or as secretary of HUD, or his service in the Senate, but his service to his family is what's ultimately important. And wow, what a public servant he is to his family. So to he and his wife, Kitty, we just say we thank you for the great service that you have provided. We thank you for the great friendships that you have provided to all of us as members of this body. And whatever road you ultimately travel down in the days ahead, we know you're going to continue to be a success. We know that you're going to continue to serve our country in your own special way. But most importantly, you're going to serve our God, and you're going to serve your family. So Mel, thanks for everything you've done. Thanks for your friendship. God be with you, and Godspeed.
Mr. President.